playing a game today on the Gauntlet called World of Gamma. This is a game that I designed. It's an homage to 1980s TSR game called Gamma World, featuring mutant animals, which is awesome. I have the privilege today of playing with two folks that I've been playing with. Unfortunately, we're missing one of our players, but we are going to forge ahead bravely by looking back and doing some flashbacks with these two. So, Gerald, do you mind introducing yourself and your character, please?
Sure. Gerald, he, him, and my character is Opak, also he, him pronouns. Opak is a jaguar mute who has come up through the streets of our imaginary future Rio. And yeah, I think he's a member of the Kata Society or street gang.
Excellent. And Nicholas?
Hi, I'm Nicholas Temperio. He, him. I'm playing a character, Sunshine, who is also he, him. Tropical bird that's mostly yellows, oranges, and reds. A former member of the Bird Medic Society. Yeah, I can summon fire sometime. I should probably do that.
What I love about your intro, Nicholas, is like it just gets better with every sentence that you say. I'm a tropical bird of reds and oranges, and I'm a doctor.
Oh yeah, I am a doctor.
That. Yeah. All right. So we want to do this in Rio, which I like. So we're kind of flashing back to the city. Are there let me just bring something up so I can take some notes as you all are talking. Are we feeling like this is like in the distant past or relatively like we're talking about maybe when you first met, right?
Yeah, I think we should do this in reverse chronological order. I think we should start with the near past and work our way towards the distant past, because I think we can kind of, as you build a timeline forward, you can build that same sort of retrospective timeline.
So maybe we start with a scene or two that we missed on the journey.
Yeah.
Here, okay. And we really want to stumble across some medical supplies.
You know, I'm fine with or without the medical supplies. I just know I get to hold that against the others in the party if we don't hit it. So,
well, I think that could lead to something pretty interesting.
Yeah.
If we do the reverse kind of chronological thing, you know, I mean, we could hit those, then go into some little mini sort of gambit that we have done together, where you sort of have you know, revealed your adventurous nature, you know. We've kind of hooked up.
I think maybe we could have run into each other at the Gray Fingers or something like that, someplace that's a little bit taboo but not quite out in the tech zone.
Right.
Yeah.
And then if we go all the way, you know, we can fit it into how we met, which I think could be kind of cool.
Yeah. And so my hope is, as we step backwards in time, you and I would realize what was that meeting, because I have no idea what it is right now.
Oh, I have a thought, but
well, then I'm not married to the reverse chronological. If you have a thought,
we'll see how it unfolds. So
okay.
Is there any aspect of Opak that we want to play up or explore?
Yeah,
further here?
I'm very interested in the fish market / town square, working that in for maybe a small scene somewhere. But the Gray Fingers is kind of what I'm most interested in exploring.
Okay, I was asking, that's cool. I was asking Opak if there was any part of his past we wanted to explore, or any aspect of your character that like we should tease out a little bit.
I thought, Sunshine, that you were, you know, you were like, I'd like to see this and you in it too.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Which is great. Now I think OPAC, like, certainly his sort of relationship with the kata, I think, is something that would be fruitful to look at. And I do like the Greyfingers location, and I think Rubbletown could be kind of exciting. I would say, in terms of his nature, and maybe if we are kind of going with the most immediate stuff, just some more of the I don't know, cat-like qualities that that maybe we can take advantage of in some of the more adventure-y sides of things. I don't know, how OPAC's going to play out, sort of in the social game. Like that's
Right.
sort of going to be a little bit more interesting in the sense of like how I imagine him as a cat, like cat personality, sort of those qualities could be.
Right. Sort of the silent type, right?
Yeah,
He's not much of a talker. Is he? Okay, that's great. And did we talk about where your cause confusion power came from, or how you discovered that?
Yeah, we talked a little bit about it happening, in like a revelry party type atmosphere was the
Oh,
first
right.
time I discovered it. And it certainly was broader in application initially, and just kind of wild, if you will, like kind of a bit chaotic, but that over time I have learned to kind of control and sort of focus, apply it to specific folk. But as was evidence from some event in my past, like I'm not to use it on any other members of the kata.
And remind me, does the kata have a single leader, or is it more like cells?
It's I'm sure there's somebody at the top, kind of a thing, but Spot was who initiated and brought me in, and it's really a fairly loose affiliation. I think we talked about it's not a strong faction. It's really small pieces loosely joined.
Nice. Okay, well, let me ask Sunshine now. Are there any aspects of your character, any scenes your character that you think you should play or be in?
I mean, I'm looking forward to using sound imitation, but I don't know how. So I don't know what that would look like in a scene yet. Yeah, no specific scene is coming to mind that is like appropriate for my character.
Do we know how you got kicked out of the bird doctor group?
Yeah. So that is related to my incinerating their facility.
Right.
They were not fans of that. And instead of facing consequences, I fled. And so maybe it would be interesting to have some of the Living Feather, i.e. the Bird Medic Society, arrive, and for me to try to avoid them. The stakes are pretty high, though. I mean, I think that Sunshine would flee if that got too hot. Or at least that's what Sunshine has done in the past.
I wonder if instead of talking about, or we could talk about that, but I also wonder if maybe you stopped practicing medicine for a little while.
Yeah. And so it is. So something that is interesting that's not really on the character sheet is this medical practice that I run at Town Square. My arriving only twice a week and having an assistant who basically runs it. And I just check in to pat him on the head and say, keep up the good work, and hope that he doesn't botch procedures.
um, is it possible that you only recently started that
I think it
practice?
is. I think it's not only, I think it's likely. I think that is the way that it is.
Right. What did we call it? Your helper was William the Rat.
Yeah.
Nice. Um, what did we start at that party, OPAC, where you caused confusion? And I'm in your imagination, did this happen before you met Spot? Was this where you met Spot? Was this after you met Spot?
It was after I met Spot. So I'm in the party is with some of the
Lakota.
Dakota. Yeah.
All right. So let's introduce another member of the Kata. What distinguishes them? They all have tails. Do I remember that correctly?
Yep.
Sweet. So obviously there is maybe a person with a squirrel tail, and her name is Miranda. And um, um, can we place this at the party? Should we play out the party scene? Does that sound all right?
Sure.
Obviously, Sunshine, you're not there, but
Right.
maybe you could play Nicholas. You could play Spot.
Hmm.
Would that be all right?
Yeah.
So I think this party is in the Gray Fingers, or is it in Rebel Town?
I think it's cake and eat it too. It's on the edge. It's
Oh yeah.
and Gray Fingers are somewhat abandoned now, right? I think we were
Right.
talking about. So kind of just outside of the sort of edge, a little bit to the west, I guess. It's one of the westerly Gray Fingers that could butt up against Rolltown a little bit, and it's like an abandoned, um, sort of like an abandoned industrial building, a little bit more industrial than the business buildings that I think are maybe in our shared imagination for some of the other Gray Finger
Hmm.
buildings.
So not a finger proper.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like a toe. And I think someone has propped up some loudspeakers on like a second floor, and it's overlooking this just open area that maybe some of it is exposed to the elements, and some of it is undercover, and the music is unintelligible because there's no, it's all hard surfaces, right? So sort of everything is bouncing off of everything else. Um, and it's one of those parties where you have to talk really loud in order to be heard, much less understood. I wonder if um, uh, I was gonna ask, is there I guess OPAC, why did you describe the lighting? Did they set up any kind of special lights for this party?
Oh yeah, I mean, if if there's one thing we know about, the Katas, they do like a good light show with their parties. So there's a myriad of different lights, both kind of like moving in time, very very obviously in sync with the music. Like, this is part of the DJ setup, and everything is really kind of sweet in that regard, but there's also just like ambient party lights up as well, and different folks. I've got my like little glow stick, it's all kind of lights.
And I think there are um, because it's a little futuristic and there's kind of cool future tech. There are different kind of geometric shapes like cubes and spheres and cones of varying sizes from like golf ball size to playground ball size that just float everywhere and they glow. Um, so it's sort of like a torch or a lantern that you might bring with you, but they've been sort of repurposed to provide part of this light show, and they're virtually weightless. So like they're almost like a balloon. So when you're dancing, you kind of bump into them, and they move around and change color and stuff. Um, uh, I think so Spot, there's a famous DJ.
Remind me, what is Spot?
We don't have anything specific other than
He
Spot
has a
is
tail.
Opic's friend.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
He's very up to you, very penciled in.
Okay. Pretty blank slate. Gotcha.
So we'll start here. What kind of tail do you have? Long tail, short tail, prehensile, furry?
Yeah,
rat-like?
I think that Spot is kind of a anthropomorphic monkey person. I don't know if a monkey person. So he has one of those tails, and he's a small enough monkey, and it's a good enough tail that he can use it to hang from things or grab things.
And he has a spot somewhere on him, which is how he got his name Spot. Where is
Yeah.
this spot?
I think he's mostly black, and he's just got this big white spot on his chest that people probably, if he, I don't think he runs around with a shirt very much, so I think he probably gets some grief about it being a target from other people in the kata.
All right. And Spot, there's a very famous DJ who the kata seem to be able to get.
DJ Wreckage.
DJ Wreckage.
And it is synth noise, if there's any question about what we're listening to.
Yeah, I could not picture anything else. But maybe DJ Wreckage is famous for interweaving some kind of other music into the synth noise. What is that?
Recordings of classical instruments, which he has like the most extensive classical recordings library. Those instruments don't exist. So no one really knows what these things are that he plays, but they're melodic and symphonic. And we know that they're violins, violas, cellos,
Right.
etc.
It's a little Moonlight Sonata with your synth noise.
Yeah,
I
exactly.
love it. That's awesome. And OPEC, is this party celebrating anything in particular?
Yeah, we are celebrating what for us was a relatively good score of found stuff. We got sent out, on a job by Silas, and we recovered what he needed, but also discovered a cache of goodies that he let us have. So we got basically paid twice over, and for our little crew, like, is kind of a big deal. Maybe that's how we managed to get somebody as awesome as DJ Wreckage.
Yeah.
We were able to bribe a little extra coin and some, maybe some wine or something like that, and some other kind of good stuff that he would maybe be into.
What's the what was one of the things in this cache of goodies that you got?
Well, so not only did we get some, delectable sundries like tinned sardines and other things that are, maybe harder to find because they involve manufacture. Although not as good as some of the fresh stuff you can get at the fish market, still a rarity, so something to be prized. But in addition to that, we also recovered some really I don't know what I would call it, like bejeweled tech, maybe, I guess, in some ways. It's like kind of along that earlier maybe crystal theme. It's like amber jewels that also transmit some source of energy.
And probably glow pretty cool.
Probably also glow pretty cool.
Is that the part that Silas kept for himself, or is that the part that you all were able to cash in on? Or
No, we actually got to keep some of these like amber battery jewels.
Okay, nice.
Things. Yeah, we were on a more more specific mission for him, which was actually like a document recovery, like an intel type of a situation. But it was the kind of thing where what we needed to do was actually like the target was we'd mapped out where to like where they went to and from, like their movements, and used like our little kind of street ruffian moves to do that crowd around and pickpocket kind of distraction thing. Got the briefcase, and it had the information that we needed, but also some extra cool stuff.
That's great. Spot, I think you betrayed Silas in this mission, and you didn't tell anyone. But I'm
Trying to remember who Silas is.
Silas is like the Jabba the Hutt figure.
Oh yeah,
the giant worm who gives out rules Rebel Town with a slug-like fist, but also gives out jobs to be done. So sort of like the local crime lord.
Mm-hmm.
What might Spot have done to betray Silas on this mission?
I think the target that we chose is actually closely associated with Silas. So it was kind of like we had an objective. The objective was to gain intel. We knew that it could be hard if we went outside for the intel, or we knew that it could be easier if we abused one of Silas's close contacts. So
you maybe you weren't supposed to let it slip that you were working for Silas.
Oh, like this is supposed to be a friend of his that he keeps close, and we should not have chosen this mark because we are known to work for Silas, or maybe they don't know that we work for Silas.
I see.
Yeah.
So you've created a headache for Silas because now you've stolen this intel,
right,
from a friend. Okay.
Exactly. Yeah.
All right.
A rival friend, a frenemy.
A frenemy. That's good. So Opek, what's the first sign that your cause confusion is doing its thing? What's the first thing, small thing you notice? Maybe Miranda, this young woman that you've been dancing with, so her behavior changes a little bit.
Yeah, so we're dancing to the synth noise classical mashup, and I mean, the thing about Miranda, and frankly the thing about me, is we're both very good dancers, but she starts dancing kind of wildly out of the beat in a way that is certainly not like deliberate, and not that you would it's definitely something is off by that. I could tell that something's not right.
Nice. Okay.
And I'm even feeling some confusion just in that sense myself.
But she doesn't really realize that this is happening. So she just keeps dancing, but she notices you looking at her funny. She said, "What? Opek, what's wrong? Why are you looking at me like that?"
What's wrong with you? You're not dancing anymore.
I'm just dancing. I'm enjoying myself. This is such a great party. I can't believe they got DJ Oceanside to play here. I never get to party with with you all. Um, I can't believe they made some other neighborhood, which is called. I can't believe we're having a party here at the junkyard.
But Miranda, it's not DJ Oceanside. We landed DJ Wreckage.
What are
You're
you
not
talking
in
about?
you're not in Oceanside, Miranda. We're by the Gray Fingers, and something is
Opek, I'm just, I don't know what's come over me.
maybe you need to sit down. Maybe we should both sit down.
I wonder if she starts to get fearful and instead like pushes you away.
I could see it.
So that happens. Spot, you're also starting to feel a little strange. How does the confusion manifest in you?
I'm at the bar talking with the bartender, and he says something to me that just does not even sound like words.
Nice.
And I'm like, I give him a deep stare, and I'm like, why are you talking gibberish? I can't understand a thing that you say. And he's like, blah, 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 blah.
Nice. Opek, what's the next thing that you notice?
Well, other people. It's not just. I noticed that it's not just Miranda. I noticed that many people are not they're not in time to the music, and I'm starting to panic that it's me, that there's something wrong with what I'm seeing and hearing.
Nice.
And my impulse is to actually get my friend Spot to, he brought me in. He's a little bit older than me. He knows about these kinds of things, and I see him a little bit like a father figure. So I'm gonna kind of run to Spot and sort of express my concern.
So what does this conversation look like? Opek, what do you say when you approach Spot?
So I see Spot at the bar, and I tap him on or I put my hand on his back and lean up to him and say, is everything okay here, Spot? Like,
And Spot turns around saying, nonsense. They're all talking nonsense. I can't understand a word.
can you understand me?
And now you're affected. What are you saying?
I need help, and I'm holding you.
We got to get out of here.
Yes, but we got to get Miranda.
I don't know what you're saying, but we are out of here.
I am pulling you to where Miranda is at.
That's the wrong way. You're obviously confused. We don't leave in this direction.
We got to get Miranda. Miranda. I'm trying to sign it out, and I'm pointing, and I'm starting.
I
to
see
get
you point
angry.
at her, and that's when I start moving in that direction with you.
And I think there are other people now who are dancing completely erratically, or they're just lying on the floor because they're so confused. People spinning around looking like they're really lost. People like grabbing, little food snacks that were being served and throwing them, like doing things that are just slightly weird and like they are confused. What happens when you approach Miranda?
So I am the source of this, unbeknownst to myself. So I think when we approach Miranda, she is even more confused. So when I walked away from her, she probably got a little bit better, but now here I come again. And I think she doesn't recognize me.
Stay away from me. Stay away. from me.
Miranda,
She's backing up.
it's
Don't-
Spot and me.
No, I don't know what you did to me, OPAC. As soon as I walked away from you, my head cleared. I don't know what you're doing. Get out. Just get out.
I'm not doing anything wrong.
Just leave.
And Spot, will you stay with Miranda? I'm gonna go outside.
And I storm out with you.
Way to stick together. Nice.
Yeah. I didn't understand what he said. It's like,
I think when you get out there, you're still a little confused. OPAC, you're maybe a little scared. Does that sound right?
I am very scared. Yeah.
But there are some Silas goons, and he's got some toughs who approach Sunshine. That's not true. Approach Spot. Sorry, I was reading your
Oh
name.
yeah. I was like, wow, Sunshine, what are you doing out here?
Sunshine is still off screen.
Okay.
They approach Spot. Oh, I'm confused. They approach Spot and they kind of grab you and drag you a little bit away from OPAC. And they start kind of doing that thing where they're talking quietly but firmly in your ear.
I'm like, speak up and speak real words. What are you saying?
I wonder if the confusion's worn off a bit
Okay.
now
and
that
then-
you're away from OPAC and maybe OPAC's calming down.
Good.
a little.
Yeah. Yeah.
So these two goons are holding you, and they are speaking firmly to you about the mistake that you made. What do you do?
I start groveling. I'm like, look, I didn't know that he was connected with Silas. How was I supposed to know that?
And they, at the mention of Silas's name, they immediately get violent. And I think they maybe punch Spot a few times and leave you sort of aching and in pain on the street.
Yeah, and I think Silas is small enough and wise enough to know not to just to take it. It's like this is not a fatal encounter, and if I do try to bite them or fight back, it's just gonna go worse. So
Right. And these are like big goons. They're sort of
yeah.
rhino slash I don't know, woolly mammoth style creatures or mutants. OPAC, it's clear Spot needs a doctor.
Yeah, I run up to you, Spot, and I see that you've got some blood coming out of your mouth, and I say, we've got to get you to a doctor. And then I'm trying to recall the name of the clinic, but is there a clinic nearby or somewhere we can take you?
There's that that red bird thing that I think he's got a rat that patches people up.
Yeah, let's go
Kind
there.
of expensive though. You think it's that bad?
How do you drag Spot to the town square?
I think that I throw your arm over my shoulder. You're a little shorter than I am in stature, so
Yeah.
I kind of do that thing where I let you grab onto my neck and I
Yeah.
kind of hug your hip tight and sort of carry you a little bit, through the streets. And I'm actually looking for, if there's shortcut or some kind of rickshaw type thing, maybe even just something to get us there a little faster, because it's, you're smaller, but you're still a big guy, to a certain extent. So
Well, we want to get you to encounter Sunshine.
yeah.
So we can make a move to see, like, are you successful in getting Spot to the clinic? And maybe you are regardless, but something else could befall you. Or we can
I
just
like that.
get you to
I
the,
like the raise the stakes roll. I think
Uh,
that could be fun.
yeah. So OPAC, are you using your kind of human side or your animal side to
In
do
this moment, I feel very much like I'm using my human side.
this? Totally fair. What I want to know is, where did I put our dice roller? I might not
Yeah.
have put it anywhere. Brown. All right. We will get another one. All right. I'm going to put a dice roller in the chat.
Oh, it's appropriately named. Let's see here.
That was weird. So let's see. Are you using any of your tags?
Hmm.
I could see an argument being made for athletics.
Certainly to carry Spot athletics. And I was thinking of, however, rolling awareness for like navigating.
That sounds great. You said human or animal?
I was thinking human.
Great. So you'll roll 3 plus 1.
Or D6, 3, roll plus 1. Roll the dice. Let's see.
That's a 7. Which means, yeah, we did raise the stakes, in fact.
If I might,
Yeah, go ahead.
I think Spot was being super annoying, and now he's not being annoying at all. And so the patient's condition is taking a drastic turn for the worse, just limper, a lot less life. It's an idea.
I like that. Gerald, do you have any ideas?
I mean, I think that's pretty good for upping the, intensity and desire to get there. I'm just wondering if something should impede getting there, kind of thing. I feel like this clinic may not be that far away, but it's far enough away that something could come up along the way.
Yeah, totally. The thing that occurred to me is that maybe what is impeding you is another Silas goon, who recognizes that Spot is on his way out, and says, since you are helping him, OPAC, his debt to us becomes your debt to us. But that may be a little bit much for what we are doing here.
I mean, I think at the end of the day, isn't his debt that he made a mistake and he needs to work it out with Silas?
Right. But now he
And
needs to go ahead.
I'm willing to. I'm not sure if I'm talking to you in character, but I'm talking to you in character, which is I'm willing to take that on. Spot is my brother.
Right. Like, if he doesn't make it, you've got to make this right. Like,
yeah.
All right. We may never hear that story, but I like it.
Maybe not.
Or maybe you just hit bad traffic. It's Rio after all. Maybe let's play out this conversation. So a goon taps you on the shoulder, like they've been following you this whole time, and they see you're slowing down, having trouble getting there, and they see that Spot is no longer kind of pulling whatever weight that he can, and he's like, the goon says to you, looks like your friend might not make it.
Yeah, well, if you slow me down, he certainly might not. Why don't you let us pass?
There's no skin off my nose whether he does or not.
What do you mean by that?
Meaning a debt's a debt. If you're his, what, friend, brother?
We're brothers, indeed.
Fine. Yeah, you look like spitting images of each other. All I'm saying is Silas wants what's owed him. And if Spot ain't around to make this right, you're going to have to make it right.
I'll make it right if Spot isn't around, but trust me when I say Spot's going to make it through this. He's tougher than you think. We just need to get him to the clinic and we'll be good. Spot will work it out with Silas.
I think at that point, like, he coughs up some blood. And maybe you push your way past him, and he's like, whatever, do your thing.
He does that to avoid the blood. It's like
this is a new suit.
Yeah.
What Sunshine, you don't usually go to the clinic.
This is after hours. This is mentoring, right? So we just had a tea break. We are doing sutures on like
So
on corn cobs or something. I'm like,
Right.
this is how you move the needle. Pay very close attention.
yeah, and William is terrible.
Yeah,
So what do
that's
you?
good. That's good, William. Try a little bit slower. Breathe while you're doing it. Breathe.
Damn it! I can't do this.
We're going to use a bigger. No. This is just too much too fast. Here, we're going to use a bigger needle. And I pull out a large needle for him to use. We got to work on the rough motor skills before the fine motor skills.
How am I supposed to use? This is like a knitting needle. Who am I gonna poke with this thing?
This is just for practice. You get good with the big needle, then you move to the small needle. We'll have you there in weeks.
What? Why are we even doing this? We've got technology that lets us not suture anymore. We can use plastic skin stuff. We have special healing glue. We've got all kinds of medical supplies that let us avoid all of this suturing.
Look, do you want to be my apprentice or not? I'm telling you, this is important. You're not going to get it right away. You're not going to understand why it's important right away. But this field medicine is critical.
If you insist, doctor.
Now take the needle and try again on the corn cob.
They really use corn cobs.
I have no idea.
Okay.
Sunshine does.
It's an added challenge. So you were at the clinic in the evening just to do
Mentoring.
Just do the mentoring. Okay.
Yeah.
Do you want to give us like a little picture of what this clinic looks like? What did you have in your imagination?
I picture, I haven't been here long, so it's a white tent. I have put up the red cross so that people can know, which actually, yeah, it would not have any feather icons on it whatsoever, no association. It has some baskets with different materials in it. It's got basically a cot for triage. I'm really looking for that upgrade to my cot. I'd love to get some permanent table in here. It also has a desk where I do paperwork and the money transaction side of it, keep charts on people, but fairly small and modest.
And I think when you had your larger practice, you had like one kind of desk item
Mm.
that you kept on your desk that you loved. And that's the only thing you kept from your office. Any sense of what that tchotchke might be?
Yeah, so my parents were gatherers, so I'm thinking that it's some sort of implement that they would have used. It's like this big hook that you would use for moving bales of hay or something, and
Okay,
it looks totally out of place in a doctor's office.
right,
Yeah.
right. I love that. All right, so OPAC, you see this tent. It's kind of one of the only thing that's still lit in the town square. Um, and as you push the flap aside, you say,
I need some help. My friend Spot here, he's hurt. He's he's bleeding from the mouth. He got beat up. He got mugged.
And Sunshine says, "Son of a William, clear the table. We got to take care of this before we can complain about the hour of this." But he does not look good. Get him on this cot right here, right now.
do you charge extra for evening appointments?
Um, yeah. So while William is prepping the patient, I come over to OPAC and I have this clipboard, and I'm like, fees for after-hour services, they're like triple the rate of your normal daytime services. Can you afford this?
We can get the money. My friend is good for it, but you do sliding scale.
What's a no? We don't do sliding scale,
It's not
and
my
especially not for midnight service.
that is not my vocabulary.
But if you say you're good for it,
We're good
great.
for it.
We're in.
We're good for it.
Is this the surgery role I've been waiting for?
Yes, my friend, it is.
Excellent.
And in fact, in order to soothe Spot, you need to mimic the sound. I'm just kidding.
Mm.
Just kidding. But yeah, why don't we do a surgery? I've got an idea for the sound imitation later on.
Okay.
Why don't we do a roll to see how well you do in this surgery?
All right. And because I'm invoking a tag, I roll 3 dice. Is that correct?
You'll roll 3 and take the best 2 of them.
Okay. And I'm the physician is more human than it is bird. It's a trait that birds train themselves, but it is definitely a human trait that they
Right.
train themselves. And I'm moving frustratingly slow, invoking it as a patience
All
roll.
right. So you'll roll +2. Which do you want to uncheck, awareness or cunning?
So awareness was checked by
It doesn't matter.
you.
It doesn't
Okay.
matter. It doesn't matter.
I will uncheck. I'm going to uncheck awareness.
Okay. You're leaving yourself with a 0 and a -1.
I know.
Love it.
Yeah. And then this is a +2. So roll those dice.
Oh, nice. So that's actually a 9 + 2 is an 11 on human.
Oh, great. Let's see what that means.
Means you succeed. So tell me, I'm imagining that Sunshine is like in the zone. Like despite everything in your past, your checkered past, you're maybe a really great surgeon. So what does this look like? Are you like super intense? Do you whistle and relax? Like what is this? look like?
It's
Where
tense.
is
It's
it?
tense every time. That's why I don't do it.
Okay.
I am really good at it, but it causes it a lot of concentration to move at the slow, methodic pace that it requires.
Mm,
And it's tempting to just let the emotions take control, but no, I think there is a humming, but it's like a intense facial structure that goes with that hum, and you can see a lot of determination and like intentional pauses, and then the cadence is slow and methodic again.
love it. Opek, what do you notice about the work? That's, I mean, you're obviously overly concerned with your friend. Is there anything you notice about the work, about Sunshine's work, uh, or a spot on the table that strikes you?
Um, I mean, I am impressed with how meticulous it is. You know, I'm not. Presumably, I'm not. You know, in the operating theater per se, but I do have a line of sight,
You actually
and
are in the operating
I
theater. It's
am.
the one room I have.
For some
It's a
reason, I
tent, man.
felt like you were like, no,
It's
no.
amazing. It's amazing that any of you
I
can
tell
like
you to stand in the
up.
corner, but you're in here.
Yeah, it seems like everything is so close. And yeah, but it's exceptionally methodical, and uh I'm quite impressed. You know, there's I wasn't sure what it was going to be walking in here, and I wasn't sure, you know, if Spot was going to pull through, but it looks like he's going to make it, and I'm really impressed with that. I'm kind of hoping that he talks to you.
Um, that was great. Um, is there anything else we want to do in this scene before we?
I want to say, just in general for the procedure, um, I think that there was a pretty massive chest wound, and there were like multiple layers of sutures that happened. And then I pulled out all this fancy tech, right? So it was like you rough it in with the hand tools, and then you finish it with technology. And I turn to William and say, "That's how it's done."
Nice. William is humbled. That was really good. Um,
I want to know. I thought you were headed towards that it changed the shape of his spot. So now I want to know, since
Yeah.
there were multiple chest wounds, if you were able to, you know, preserve the shape of the spot, or if the spot has changed.
It's shaved, but you can see the different colors of flesh. It's still a very nice circle, but it does have some pretty serious stitches going across it before it gets wrapped, and then technology magic wand brushed over it. So you'll see once the wraps come off.
Nice. I know we were talking about doing it, you know, where we would go back further to when we met, but I felt like we played this as if we hadn't known each other.
Yeah, I think this could be the beginning.
So this could be how we meet.
that was my intent.
Yeah.
Cool.
But I feel like, and maybe we don't need this, but I'm wondering, like, does OPEC do anything to make an impression on Sunshine? Because Sunshine has stuff like this coming in all the time, or at least on Tuesdays and Thursdays when he's in the
Right.
clinic. So is there something that OPEC can do, or that OPEC does, that kind of makes Sunshine sit up and take notice?
Well, I wonder if I see something that you don't. You
Mm.
know, I have keen eyes, and maybe there is, you know, you're an impeccable and methodical surgeon, but maybe there's something
Like
I
in the diagnostics phase, it's like, oh, look at this hole right here. I'm going to have to fix this. That's going to be $300 units. Look at this over here. And you're like, well, what about that thing?
I think it's a really good idea.
Yeah.
Like, maybe Sunshine, you're like yelling at William to bring the light closer because you're trying to get a good look at something.
Light.
Yeah, and you're like, damn it, where's the magnifying glass? Like you need sort of all this equipment, and OPEC, you just kind of step in.
Oh, as the assistant.
Right, and just
Yeah.
sort of like calmly narrate some of the like things that need to be said. And I wonder if Sunshine is impressed with your ability to see that stuff and just the calm that you're experiencing in the
Yeah, this is the calm that I force myself into, and I can observe it in a natural state in OPEC.
Does that sound right to you, OPEC?
Yeah, I think that could be good. It may be something that on an ongoing basis I may not be able to tap into always, but for some reason I was remarkably calm in that moment.
I mean, you don't have to be calm, but you can certainly be the one who's like doing the looking.
Keen, yes.
Yeah.
Keen, yeah.
Yeah, I think that's good. Great. All right, so this sets us up. We now have established you two have met, and we know that Sunshine appreciates your keen eyesight.
And thinks maybe I have a second opportunity for an assistant.
We owe you.
Or at
you
least,
do. You can work it off or you can pay it off. That's all I'm saying.
My thought is that maybe now we see what happens on this journey that you all just took. And since OPEC owes you, he's gotta help you, Sunshine, find some useful stuff.
Yeah.
So I've got 9:04 here on the East Coast. Why don't we just make it and even 9:15? We'll come back after a break and we'll do that scene. Does that sound all right?
Yeah, sounds great.
Cool. I'll see you in 10.
Awesome.
That's excellent. Great. I this is the part of role-playing games that I really, really love. Is sort of these not quite slice of life, but certainly sort of, all right, now we're going to roll for hit points again. So we were going to maybe do what amounts to another flashback that's less back on the journey into the tech zone. And maybe at some point Sunshine and OPEC took a detour to go check something out. Sunshine, maybe you had heard a rumor of a cache of medical supplies somewhere.
I think I heard that rumor visually transmitted through Amanita. I remember Amanita saying big red X, and it's like, oh yeah, we got to go check that out.
Right, sure. So we're in the forest again. Do we want to stay in the forest, or does the forest give way to some other kind of weird landscape or some other ecosystem?
I think we're out of the forest when we find this. I think we're in kind of the early tech zone area. It's not so deep tech zone that it's like all the metal and different technology bits are like distorted or warped or anything. It's like early tech zone where there's still shells of buildings and things of that nature.
Okay, I like that. Yeah, maybe we would recognize it kind of as a pretty built up office park that has been devastated. Something that would have been on the outskirts of a major city like Rio.
Yeah.
But maybe not, the buildings weren't too high. So the rubble isn't oppressive. But you're still climbing over stuff.
Yeah, I think the streets are torn up. The windows are blown out. There's boards that used to be there, but they've rotted over time. So yeah, I think that it's not in any sort of pristine condition by any stretch.
There are not early, but kind of mini versions of the big tech monsters that roll together Maybe they're baby forms of them or nascent forms, or just kind of part of the tech ecosystem that's out here. One of them looks to you almost scorpion or lobster like, and I think you're familiar with this because you all live in the ocean. So maybe I'll start with OPEC. What do you see this lobster robot thing doing within the rubble? What is it? What kind of behaviors is it exhibiting?
It's we're walking along, and I see it, it's come up over a mound of rubble, and it's almost like prowling in a way. It's like sort of searching with its like antennae kind of out and doing the sort of thing.
Yeah.
And it's so it's like, wait, and then you can see that it's moves on a little bit, and it kind of just the little skitter as it goes back down the rubble, but it's sort of just like prowling around.
Is it just the one, or do you see are there a lot of these?
We spot the one, but where there's like cockroaches, when you see one, there are others, so we know that we spotted the one. Surely we'll see another soon.
Yeah, and I wonder if, just to amp it up a little bit, as one crawls away, maybe another emerges, and that one unleashes a tail spike and skewers some kind of rat that's been it's like the only organic form that you've seen in a while as you come out here, and immediately it is skewered by one of these things and dragged back under the rubble. Sunshine, there's also insects that are mechanical. They're insects in that they're kind of buzzing around. They're relatively small, but I imagine they're sort of beautiful in some way. What is it that you admire about these little flying creatures?
Yeah. So I think their wings like refract light, and so it's kind of like, it's almost like a little dazzle of like disco lights when that tail spike hits, and they all get spooked and they all go fluttering the other way, and you get this little dazzle of light across the ground.
That's super cool. And I would imagine that you can't really see it, but there's a lot of debris that's still kind of hanging in the air, pollution, if you will. And these things feed on the pollution. So, and that's what gives their wings that sparkle, that kind of any certain elements that they draw out of the pollution ends up in their wings. Do they swarm? Are they like fireflies?
It's like a flock. So you didn't even see them. They were just plastered against the wall. Right. And then that wall just kind of peeled off in layers and flew to another building and became a kind of shiny wall over there.
One idea I had for the medical, or the cache of medical stuff, is that it's kind of an abandoned ambulance.
Oh yeah, I like that.
That's kind of like maybe fallen partially into the street. I think, Sunshine, you recognize it immediately. It's got ancient writing on the side, but you can tell the paint job was once white, and it's got that red cross.
The sign
on it. How do you approach the ambulance? Is it walk right up to it? Are you being cautious? Do you fly? What are you gonna do? I guess you can't fly.
I can't fly, so that's out of the options. Well, I just got kind of informed to be cautious with an arm, and so I point over that arm and say, "OPEC, there it is, right there. Come on, let's go." I can't hear you.
Perfect. Stage whisper.
Oh.
I said, okay, let's do it.
All right. And then I just bolt.
And I chase
and
after
fling
you.
the doors open. It's too exciting.
It is really exciting. I think a creature has made its home here, but this is like a sentient a person has made their home here, and they as soon as you fling open the doors, there's a blaster pistol, like a laser gun,
And the arms that were out suddenly go up.
yeah, in your face.
Yeah.
This is not a, if you get a good look, it's not like an especially threatening looking person, but it is a person who's clearly recognize the value of what they are sitting on here. Mm-hmm. I think they are a mutant squid.
I like it.
So we had Star Wars on our mind, so maybe they look like one of the Quarren aliens, if you know what I'm talking about. They look like they've got these kind of tentacles that hang down.
Did they play like the jazz music?
No.
No. Okay. I don't know my Star Wars very well.
Those are the Kip. I think the Kip is there. Did you watch The Mandalorian?
No.
Oh. They do appear in episode 4, A New Hope, in the cantina scene. But they basically look like squid head and then these tentacles, but they're otherwise humanoid. Mm-hmm. And so, but maybe in this version of it, those tentacles are a little larger and are prehensile. So it's one of those tentacles that's holding up the gun. You see maybe ink kind of messing up its overalls.
Yeah.
And it says to you, or they say to you, this is mine, back off.
I say, OPEC, now's the time for you to settle that debt.
Friend, there's prowlers outside your ambulance, and we're just looking for shelter.
But I need that bench.
Yeah, Sunshine, what do you glimpse in here that's like, yes, this is what I've been waiting for?
It's like a real bench where you can put people on, and it's not a cot, right? It's like got drawers. I can keep stuff in there. It's perfect.
Is there anything else you see that in there that you like? Any kind of tech that looks good?
Yeah. So this could even be future stuff, right? We could be in the future's future. So I imagine there's something like the paddles that you restart someone's heart with,
right?
But it's like the future version of that, where it doesn't have cords. It's just like a little paddle that you place on someone,
right,
to restart that heart.
Yeah, you just reminded me of Star Trek. They had like cortical stimulator or something, and it was like this little device that they put on their chest.
Yeah.
All right, cool. So I don't feel the need for this to get violent, but I feel like maybe this squid person will ask you for something. And I don't know. Do you have any ideas what that might be? Is there a side quest in here? Do you need to go do something for them? Do you need to go help them with something?
Well, friend, do you mind if we just come into your van for a minute and close the door and chat?
I do.
This
is my home.
There's
I was here first.
prowlers right outside your
Those
van.
things will not hurt you much.
I'm trying to sidle my way in.
Why don't we roll to see if they are convinced by your charm? What are you doing to convince them to let you in?
Well, I was going with the ploy of we're just strangers passing through and in danger, but you've just told me that we're not going to be harmed too much. So I don't know if you would already be convinced by that, but
Well, are you threatening him, or are you, I don't know, reassuring him? Are you charming them? I don't know if it's a boy or a girl yet, or anything really. What do you think?
yeah, well, I mean, my first ploy clearly did not work, which was preying on their goodwill.
I think that's fine. I think that's pleading with them. That sounds good.
Yeah, it was sort of a plead.
Doesn't feel like any of your tags matter, so you would just be rolling 2 dice.
Yep.
With which attribute are you going to roll?
I was trying to be cunning, which would be
+2.
2, so 2d6 plus 2.
Yep. Not bad. Oh, were you rolling animal or human?
That would have been human, I would have thought.
So this just validates the direction that we were heading.
Yeah.
I wonder if they've got some device that keeps the prowlers at bay. And the device is on the fritz. We can either have you all try and figure out how to make it work. They can send you off to find a missing piece for it again. That was one idea I had. Any other ideas?
I like the send us off to find the missing piece that'll make it work. I think that's a good option.
So, all right. They invite you in.
Friend, what's your name? Sorry.
I was just typing name generator and you asked me that question. Let's see. Sylvester, that's my name. And Sylvester says, those prowlers can't kill anything as big as us. They usually go after some of the rodents and birds around here.
Mm-hmm. But I saw them grab a rodent just a minute ago.
But if they do sting you, that'll knock you out for a good hour, by which they will have harvested most of your organs by then.
Wow.
I don't know what they do with them because they're made out of metal, but I did put together this device, which gave off a special sound that only they could hear, and that would keep them away. Sunshine, as you are in here, you're not really paying attention to what he's saying because of all the riches.
Like, ooh, stethoscope. Ooh, tongue depressors. I haven't seen tongue depressors in a long time.
But I burnt out one of the amber cells in in here. Are you
I've
familiar
grabbed a
with?
step. I've grabbed a stethoscope and put it around my neck.
He does. Sylvester does a double take. Like, okay, is that what that's for?
Oh yeah.
I don't have ears.
Oh, yeah. No, this is. I'm actually a practicing physician.
You're
That's why we're here. Is to. I was hoping to get some of the medical supplies, and then we found out that this is your home.
If you get me an amber battery for this thing, I will trade you some medical supplies for the amber battery.
Oh yeah, that'd be great. Definitely need this bench and that defibrillator over there.
Well, let's see how you do with the battery, and then we'll work out our arrangement.
Fair enough.
Sylvester, is there someplace we can pick up some batteries for you nearby?
I don't know. Do you? I mean, there is a source for batteries, but it is at the top of the building over there, the one that's miraculously still standing.
Hey, OPEC.
Yeah, sunshine.
Didn't you have some shiny red? Were those batteries?
This is the thing. We have some of these amber cells way back in Rumbletown.
Oh, you left them. That makes sense. Why would you bring them out here?
Right. Can't bring everything.
Right. Well, I guess we're heading to the top of that that tower thing over there.
That's what I was thinking.
Is this okay, or did we want to do something else?
I'm good to explore
I
a tower.
I like where it's going.
Yeah, it's going good places.
It's a tower that he pointed to, which
it's got to be a block or two away.
It means it's not too far away.
Right. It's not far. It's not
and
far.
By tower, we probably mean like 4-story building.
So maybe you ask him. Yeah, but maybe you ask him like, well, why haven't you gone?
Yeah, that suddenly I thought about that. Why haven't you gone and retrieved it yourself? What?
There's a look of incredulity on his face, to the extent that a squid face can look incredulous. And he's like, well, I would have to leave the ambulance.
Oh, right. And then someone like me would come across and you'd be down a defibrillator.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. I didn't know that that's what that was called. So now thank you for that.
Oh yeah, you're welcome.
I mean,
gotta tell you, they're almost worthless unless you can find someone in the medical profession.
You know how it is. Like, you find a cache of things, you just want to stick with it.
No, I get it.
Yeah. I mean, I've been I got travelers coming through Tech Zone all the time, and I've been trading stuff. Keeps me fed. And if I abandon this even for an hour, it's gone.
We could go get these batteries for you.
Oh yeah.
My understanding is that they're being kept in a metal box that's affixed to one of the walls that's still standing on the 4th floor.
That's got to be easy to find.
Just that tall, the only 4-story building we can see.
Yeah.
And I do imagine you said one of the walls that's still standing. It's like half of it has collapsed.
Oh yeah.
This way.
It's not like a perfect building by any stretch.
I'm not just taking the elevator up.
They I wonder if maybe the mechas use this building for target practice or something, like they hurl stones at it. But I think it's still standing because some kind of tree mutant tree has made its home within the building.
Or how about vines? How about vines that like add structure, and you can just see them wrapped up one side of this, but not the rest of it.
Right. Yes,
Yeah.
perfect. So when you go in, you're immediately struck by the fact that there's more to this building than just a simple ruined building. Um, the there are stairs that appear to be intact. But I'll ask, do you want to look around the first floor before you um, go up the stairs at all?
I do. I kind of want to scope the place out, listen carefully, see what we can hear that might be moving or prowling through this building. I think every cubby's going to have another dude with a shotgun in it.
Every abandoned vehicle you open, there's someone in there. There is a move called Explore the Landscape
Cool.
that might be fun to try and use. So when you roll, you'll get some hold, and you can use the hold to ask questions. So, Sunshine, are you doing that?
Yeah. So that's 2d6, I assume.
Yes.
I'm looking, don't see it. Okay. And do I just choose? It's just like anything else. I choose one of my my awareness. That makes a lot of sense.
Yep.
Yeah.
And then you
So
can uncheck one of the other ones.
yeah. Da, da.
So you'll just roll 2d6.
Roll the die. Oh, no modifier. Get
Are
that
you
out of there.
rolling? Are you rolling human or animal here?
I think this is the animal side. This is bird ears, bird sideways eye.
That's great. So that gives you rolling a 9 gives you 2 hold. So you can then spend that hold under Explore the Landscape to ask questions.
All right, found it. Okay. Well, the one question I need to know the answer to is what here is. Wait a minute. I think what here is not as it seems is one of the hold. It's first floor. I'm really just concerned about safety. What is the greatest threat to me? So those are the two. What's not
Okay.
as it seems, and what is the greatest threat?
I think the greatest threat. Let's see. Trying to make it something a little bit more interesting than simply big scary creature. I want to say that I guess the biggest threat let's say the building is unstable.
Mm-hmm. I like that threat. That's a good
I
threat.
think that's pretty straightforward. And what here is not as it seemed. I think the vine turns out to be not organic, but just another kind of mecha creation that is mimicking a vine, a set of vines, and that it will collapse the building if it feels threatened at all.
So I definitely explained this to OPAC. Look, this isn't as straightforward as we thought it was. That thing's just gonna crumble it in like a claw.
So don't tickle the vine.
Right. Don't let it know we're here. That's why there's none of those protective people with the shotguns, is because this thing's here.
I'm wondering if we just go very quietly and do a little less exploring.
I think so. I think this is one step at a time, gentle footsteps. don't touch anything.
So let's do this. Why don't you each make a roll for essentially defying danger to make your way up to the fourth floor. And you can use human or animal, whichever one you prefer. And I would imagine, OPAC, your athletic skill would give you an advantage.
Yeah, I was gonna roll athletics and patience.
Okay.
I know that's, but
I
it's
wanted to roll patience, but I'm gonna have to be cunning about this.
so 3d6 minus 1.
Not bad. That's a 10. Oh no, it's a 9. 4 and a 6.
4 and
Minus
6.
1.
Yeah.
Were you rolling human or animal?
I was rolling animal.
All right. So basically that is you succeed. So you make it up to the fourth floor happily, without disturbing anything. Sunshine?
Yeah, so I rolled an 8, and I don't think it's my bird nature that makes me sneaky. I think it's the human side of me.
All right, great. And which attribute were you rolling with? Awareness?
Oh, I was rolling, and I was rolling with cunning.
Okay.
Because awareness was already used.
Perfect. You were using your human side and you rolled an 8.
Yeah.
Yeah, so there will be a complication or a cost there. Which lets me make the move that I'd wanted to make, which is pretty simply when you get up there, you see that this was in fact the medical facility that the ambulance probably belonged to. So there's actually more than just power, batteries up here,
right?
Or what you all call batteries. That it's fairly well stocked, actually, because of the vines, because it's in the middle of the tech zone, has not been looted to the same extent.
I think I see an EKG machine. I see, it's just, there's a room with it's been exposed to weather, but man, that's hard not going over there.
Right.
Yeah.
I'm going to create another opportunity for you, which is maybe you see some kind of flying vehicle. Kind of, I'm imagining you're on the fourth floor. Maybe there are, it's a bit exposed to the elements. Part of it is undercover. So that's where all these medical supplies are. Part of it is where the battery is. I haven't explained that yet. And then maybe there's a set of stairs going up that you can see from where you are. And there's a flying vehicle, whatever, a kind of a more modern helicopter type thing.
Yeah, it could be like a glass globe that has maybe some propellers on it, or something.
Rotors on
it. Yeah.
The batteries, you see the metallic box on the wall. But this is where all the vines come to. So the vines themselves are attached to the batteries, and they are getting their power from these amber power cells. What's cool about these amber power cells is that they are somehow renewable energy. They're not infinite energy, but they are renewable. So now you've got some choices that you can make. You can take some goods and fly away. leaving poor Sylvester, you can try and deal with the batteries, but you will certainly piss off the vines. But you may recover the batteries to help Sylvester. What do you do?
I say, OPEC, screw that guy. We've got everything we need up here. This is like a candy store. Look at this stuff. I mean, it doesn't have the perfect table, but it has all of the utensils I'm looking for.
Sunshine, I admire this mercenary side of you that comes out when you're adventuring on the weekend. You're so kind and you give so generously to all of the patients that you see, but deep down, you're a swashbuckler.
So what do you say?
Okay.
Shall we take it and run?
Sure. I don't mind ghosting on Sylvester. I really, it was a brief relationship we had.
I mean, for all he knows, we got swallowed by this vine creature.
If he really needs these batteries, he'll find some other folks to.
We're probably not the first person he's asked to retrieve them.
It's true. And just to justify this to ourselves even more, it's not like he guaranteed what we were going to get when we returned the batteries to him.
Right. This could be way better than what he had on the negotiation block.
Yeah, if he wasn't planning some kind of squid-based double cross.
I mean, I don't know that many squids. Do they do that?
I don't know. I think,
They're honest creatures.
They're very smart.
It did make me wonder though if like he was setting you up, maybe he was sending you up here.
Yeah, he didn't fully disclose what's going on. I'm sure he knew that this was a more dangerous adventure than he let on to begin with.
All right, so I think you can see the ambulance from where you are because this part is exposed. So you can see down and across the way.
Yeah.
And you can see that maybe what do we call them? The prowlers are starting to crawl all over the ambulance.
Ooh.
I'm not doing that to make you want to help him. I'm just saying that he does need help. So
we're living with the consequences of our.
Yeah. While we have this screw that guy, we're in it for ourselves conversation. We turn and see that.
Right. Yeah. He'll be fine.
He can handle that.
Eventually. Yeah.
I mean, he said they don't hurt very much.
So what does this scene look like of you all loading down the gyrocopter with medical equipment? What does that look like?
I feel like
the first thing that I do is I grab like the back of the EKG machine and just try shoving it forward. And it's obviously way too big to fit into anything, let alone get it up any stairs. But I have my heart set on it. So I'm just...
Well, I mean, it's a modern EKG. So as soon as you start rolling it, you realize, oh, wait, this is just the case that it's in. So when you open it, you realize there are 3 EKG machines in there. And you can just pull one out and they're like the size of a loaf of bread.
And I'm like, this is what I needed.
Nice.
This makes it worth it. OPEC, you're a good guy.
Thanks. I try, Sunshine. I'm thinking that really you are also, and I need this, and I need this, and this, and I am behind you with like,
I've got the one box just like touting it up, and you are like loaded down with everything else that I needed.
Pretty much.
Yeah. If this were a cartoon, you would have found a shopping cart or something.
Mm-hmm. That's true. And so I'm all loaded up and following you.
And I jump straight into that driver's seat. This is my chance to fly.
Great, because I don't know how to fly one of these things.
I don't either. I'm going to figure it out.
I'm so glad we did this because we have a vehicle move
I
and
know.
I really want to try it. I don't know how I expected to use this move.
Driving, operating, handling.
Let's see.
So I do feel like the building's vines probably aren't too happy when we start taking off. I do feel like maybe something like that clear obstacle or avoid collision will be appropriate just to take off. What do you think of that?
Sure. Okay, so
Okay.
I've got an idea on how we can make this a little mini game.
Okay.
We'll see if it works. So Sunshine, you're the one who's flying this thing.
Yeah.
So why don't you roll?
Okay. And I'm just going to move uncomfortably slow through my takeoff procedures and my pre-flight checks.
Yeah, you see a checklist there and you're like,
Yeah. I love checklists. Let's do this.
so you're rolling with patience.
With patience, yes, exactly.
I would give you logical to help you with this
Oh, very nice.
if you want to roll with advantage.
I will take that.
And
So that would be 3d6.
Right. Are you using human or animal?
I mean, this is flight, but it's not bird flight. So I think that once again, this is a human roll.
Okay, great.
Oh, this is flight.
So you're rolling 3d6 plus 2. Oh, you did it. 6 plus 4. So that's 12.
Yeah.
Well, that's pretty good. So that gives you 3 hold.
Okay.
So this is what we'll do. Write down secretly which 3 of those moves you should be able to do. And I'm going to secretly write down 3 things that might happen to you.
All right.
And then we can play them against each other.
All right. I have my 3.
All right, give me one moment. Oh, yeah. Let's see if this works. So basically, I've written down 3 bad things that could happen to you. And
I could post my 3 to chat if you want.
Yeah, that's good. That's
Okay.
good. So then what we'll do is
I spelled obstacle wrong, but you get it.
so what I'll do is I'll use one of these and you tell me which one of yours you want to use. Does that sound
right.
Okay?
That sounds great.
Okay, so I think you take off and we're running short on time. Otherwise, I would paint the scene that helps us elaborate on how this thing works. But let's say the thing takes off and you start to head away and you notice and all of a sudden you hear the sound of laser fire. And Sylvester is standing on top of the ambulance with a cannon, like a big gun, big laser gun. He's like shaking off prowlers and shooting at you.
He's gonna take us down with him.
Yeah. So which one of these moves do you want to use to deal with that?
I'm gonna use an abrupt turn. So he's gonna ideally be like tracing towards me, and I'm able to turn and avoid the incoming fire.
Okay, great. Love it. And then so you turn, you bank, and you start heading in the direction to meet up with Amanita again, because this was a detour from that path.
Yeah.
When all of a sudden a dark shadow is cast, and you look up and a giant mecha flying thing is now pursuing you. Claws outstretched. It's kind of like got fire shooting out from its from jets on either side. What do you do?
And this is the vine that was half of the building.
I was thinking this was a separate mecha.
Okay,
It
this
was
is
like
a new
flying
mecha.
mecha. Yeah.
Yeah, this is. I've entered the airspace and found new opportunities to be consumed.
Right.
I think I'm gonna clear it as an obstacle, and
Okay.
in my mind, that is shooting down to ground level and starting one of the few things I know in Star Wars, kind of that. I don't know any of the vehicle names, but those white motorcycle vehicle races through some of these ruins and trees.
Yeah, perfect. Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you kind of like swing down into the forest.
Yeah.
And you're sort of just hovering, like just under the tree line.
Yeah.
To lose the creature. Clear obstacle. I'll give it to you. That feels okay.
Okay.
And then the problem is now that the rotors are hitting the tree branches.
Yeah.
And you've taken on too much stuff. So it's starting to drag you down a little bit.
Yeah. And I think is that the situation?
That's you're weighted down. Yeah.
Yeah. And I think my hope is, and I don't know if it'll work or not, pedal to the metal. We're just going to skid this thing in. Hence my overtake. It's like, what can I do to just push this thing past the red line?
Love it.
And fingers crossed, make it back to Amanita.
Love it. That sounds great. Cool.
And
I would like to turn to OPEC and see what his face looks like through this whole thing.
Well, at first it was, and then it was, and then it was,
yeah.
It's all those cut takes, reaction shots each time, and we skid in, and the only thing that I have to say to you is I thought you said you couldn't fly this thing. That was amazing.
Well, that's the first time I've ever flown something. That was amazing. Let's do it again.
So the bad news is, well, you know what? Since you rolled a 12, it's still fine. So nice. I'm assuming that when we pick up next week, the thing will be intact and you've left it somewhere with the alarm on. Mm-hmm. And we'll pick up with that plot, and then we'll need to figure out what you do with this gyrocopter.
Yeah, it could be overheated and not working now, but it's still fine. So at some point we'll be able to do something or not with it.
That sounds great.
Now,
yeah, cool.
Sunshine, one last question before we leave the gyrocopter with its alarm on. Do you expect me to carry all of these supplies?
Well, yeah.
That's what I was afraid of.
This is payment, right? This is how you're paying me.
You don't want to, I can't convince you to pack it tightly in the gyrocopter.
I mean, do we not have the transport mecha thingy? That
we do. So if we could get it to the mecha,
we could just load it up. And I think I've learned something from the man with the gun.
Okay.
Don't let it out of your sight.
Okay, I'll
at least in this neighborhood.
Yeah, I'm loading back up then as we're closing things down.
Yeah.
All right, friends. I hope you had fun today.
I did.
I really enjoyed that. So we will wrap up. I would love to do stars and wishes with you all, if that is okay with you. So hang on, let me just open my notes document where I did not take any notes today. So Carol, can we start with you today?
Sure. So Sunshine, I really these are of course stars. I really enjoy the way that you have been able to put a button or a bow on several scenes. It's like the stinger that comes at the end. You really have a way with kind of like closing things up very nicely. I
Thank
really
you.
appreciate that. I think it was really great, and very satisfying. And then I actually think that the mini game was delightful from an audience perspective, and and actually the star that I had above that was really just, Dan, you're kind of rolling with things today, you know, and it was great. And I think like the mini game is maybe a good example of that, which is, you know, with the rule set is being kind of a, you know, lightweight, you're able to just sort of push it, you know, in a nice way. And I think that's both a testament to you and just actually to the game that you've written up. Oh, and also Sunshine, another role-playing star, was I appreciated, and I often forget to do this myself, but I appreciated that you just told Sylvester the truth in that. There was some moment in the scene, and sometimes I'm often thinking like, oh, what would the what character move can I do that will, you know, get me the end goal? And actually, if you just play the things as if it were real, and you would probably tell the truth, and that worked. I
Yeah.
think you caught Sylvester off guard with that, perhaps even. Wishes, I mean, you know, I wish we had our toadstool fungal buddy, and you know, hopefully he'll be able to come back in. Yeah, I don't really think that I had anything else. I think we got actually a good mix of sort of social encounter stuff with the party, and also like adventure-y things. So it was really kind of a nice mix.
That's great. Cool. Thank you for that. Nicholas, stars and wishes.
Yeah. I definitely enjoyed like that whole end section was just phenomenal. It's hard to think past that now, with finding the hospital, getting to have a high-speed chase off of the roof of the hospital. That was just phenomenal. Thank you very much for that. Stars. I'm sorry, I don't remember anything before that, so that's all I can think about right now. And wishes, I think this was a great session. I don't have any wishes for it. This was just a lot of fun.
I'm so pleased. I'm so glad we did the flashbacks. So
Yeah.
stars to you guys for jumping on that. I was sharing at dinner. I was like, one of my players is absent. I can do this. I can do this. I can do this. And my older son, who's a DM, was like, "You've got to do flashbacks. There's just no other way." It's like, well, I'll leave it up to the players, but it was definitely great. I loved the party scene. I just thought that was super. It ended up being really tense.
The which one?
The party scene that we did at the very
Oh yeah.
beginning.
Yeah,
Um,
that was a lot of fun. I forgot
it was
about that.
it was really tense, and I feel
Yeah.
like we sort of planted the seed of this mystery for OPEC, but never really like resolved that.
Hmm.
I guess if I'm going to say a wish, um, maybe we sort of help we find a way, or we maybe tell the story of OPEC coming to terms with his power, if that's interesting to you, Gerald.
Hmm.
Yeah, it made me tense too.
But I think
it was a good scene.
yeah, I
I
really
felt
liked it. I like, it's hard for me to think of like twists and betrayals, but Spot betraying Silas just created this really nice backdrop, and kind of set stakes for OPEC. So I think I felt really good about that. I really, Sunshine, really appreciate your single-mindedness to get medical supplies.
Hmm.
There's nothing like a drive to to propel a narrative. So thanks for that. And with that, I think I am done. So any other thoughts or questions before we wrap up?
Oh, it was fun. Thank